over the past 6 years, Colorado has tried an experiment with long-lasting birth control, and pretty much the goal of this was to see if teenagers and poor women were offered free birth control, would they actually use it? And this has to do not with just the pills, but actually long-lasting intrauterine devices and implants. Now, would they choose them? That was one of the questions that they asked. Now, the results of these questions have been, in this report, considered startling. For me, I think it's more of no shit. So let's get to the results around this. According to the study, the birth rates among teenagers across the state of Colorado plunged by 40% within 4 years, while the rate of abortions fell by 42%. And this is according to numbers from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. Now, there was also a similar decline in births for another group that was particularly vulnerable to unplanned pregnancies, and that would be unmarried women under 25 who had not finished high school. Now, according to, of course, numbers from different states all around the country, teen births have been declining nationally, which is awesome, which means that we're doing something right. And a lot of states that have comprehensive sex education and access to birth control, that's where you see a lot of the decline. Unfortunately, in states like New Mexico, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, states like that, we've unfortunately seen a rise or no change in teen pregnancies. And I'm going to get into some of those numbers here. In Colorado, first, these numbers, the number of reductions, are strong indication that the state's program allowing women to get free long-time birth control, right, is working. It's a big driver behind the drop in unplanned pregnancies and abortion. Remember, if you're pro-life, you should be in favor of birth control. It's as simple as that. About 1/5 of women ages 18 to 44 in Colorado now use a long-lasting method of substantial increase driven largely by teenagers and women who are poor. Now, compare this, of course, to the states that don't offer this kind of program. Now, here are the rates of teen pregnancy in each state from 2010. From the highest in New Mexico to the lowest in New Hampshire. I'm going to talk about actually the first 7 of these. I'm not going to go through the whole list. This is according to numbers from the Guttmacher Guttmacher Institute. New Mexico has a birth rate of 80 unplanned pregnancies per every 1,000 women. And by the way, their sex education program, one of the things that differentiates themselves from, for example, New Hampshire or New York or California, is that birth control, or not birth control, but one of the things that differentiates New Mexico and these 7 states from states like New York, New Hampshire, California, Massachusetts, is the fact that their sexual education doesn't actually have to have any medically accurate information. So if you have a sex ed program at all, the information doesn't even actually have to be accurate as mandated by the state. These states don't have those types of mandates. Mississippi, with a teen pregnancy rate of 76 per 1,000 women. Their sex education also doesn't have to be medically accurate. Texas, the same thing. Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Nevada. And in all but one of these states, they can promote religion in their sexual education programs. So most likely they're pushing abstinence-only sexual education, which has been shown to not work. And obviously, if you look at these numbers, it shows that it doesn't work. For example, Nevada, 68 out of every 1,000 women end up having a teen pregnancy. Now, the 2 states with the highest rates of these are Mississippi and New Mexico. Neither state requires sex ed be taught in schools. Mississippi law stipulates that when sex education is taught, that abstinence is to be the main method of contraception prescribed by educators, whereas New Mexico has absolutely no rules about reproductive health criteria at all. As I said, contrast that with New Hampshire. That has the lowest rate of teen pregnancies. The state of New Hampshire requires comprehensive sex ed in schools that includes information about condoms and other forms of birth control in addition to abstinence. Now you look at these states that are doing abstinence only, and then you look at Colorado, which, by the way, isn't on this list. It's not on the list of the highest teen pregnancies. As we've seen, from 2009 to 2013, a plunge of 40%. What Colorado is doing is working, and it's actually doing a really, really big progressive step in trying to solve the problem of teen pregnancy and unplanned pregnancy, and actually also abortion. Now, this shows me that this kind of education, abstinence-only education, and outlawing of abortion, this is an attempt to control teen pregnancy or reduce abortion. No, the reason for these kinds of laws and regulations, they're about controlling women, controlling people's sex lives, and of course, ultimately punishing women who do have sex outside of marriage into having an unplanned pregnancy that they, of course, are unable to terminate. It's about punishing women for having sex. Plain and simple.